mouth when we're here. But hi, everybody. It is Thursday, March 3rd, 3 3. It is office hours. We're here at MS Office Hours. I am one of your co hosts. My name is Heather Cox, Modern Workplace Specialist. With me today are my other two co hosts, Garrett.
Hey everyone, I'm Garrett. I'm super excited for today. Super excited for Juliana to join us. This is going to be great. Andrea?
I'm super excited. I'm Andrea Singrio. Excited to hand it over to Juliano in just a minute.
Yep. So we are going to turn our cameras and mics off as well so that he has the floor on the show. I've made you a presenter, so you should be good to go. And again, if you have questions while this is going on, drop them in there, and we will have some time at the end to kind of address some things that come up. But this is a very exciting topic because it continues to deepen that collaboration and communication. So the floor is yours, Juliano.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It's great to be back again. I'm excited. This is not my second or third time. I can't recall how many times I joined this call, and it's very nice to see so many familiar faces. It must be weird on your side right now. Just my video. I'm going to share my screen in a second, but just let me introduce myself for those of you I haven't met yet. I'm part of the product group in Microsoft. I'm focusing education, so Microsoft Education. Actually, I'm not part of the Teams team anymore. I don't know if it matters for my previous answers. I hope it doesn't, but I'm still very close to the Teams team. And basically, the reason that happens is Teams is really helping us bring to life a lot of the experiences we want to bring to education. And that means it's connected to Stream, it's connected to SharePoint, it's connected to many services across Microsoft 365 and Microsoft in general. For the session today, we're going to switch and we're going to focus on Teams specifically for, Teams Connect, shared channels. But I want to step back for a second, and I'm going to share my screen now. A couple of things you should know. I'm going to start talking about collaboration, external collaboration in general, providing some context for us. And basically, one thing, I'm going to excuse myself here to do a couple of things. I will be able to show you some things working, but because we're rolling it out, I'm not going to be able to demo everything here. So bear with me, because that means I'm going to be switching between different content here, hopefully to help us to make a good use of our time for the next 30 minutes or so. But talking about the context here, the whole idea is, how can we improve external collaboration? How can we make it easier, faster, better for us to work with people outside our organizations? We're going to talk about the specifics in a minute, but that's kind of the principle here. And I want to point that out because there are a few things we already have in place, and I'm sure some of you use. Actually, I see a lot of people joining this meeting as guests or external. So this is happening during this meeting already, and I want to point that out. Starting with shared chat, so the ability that you have to control in your environment to decide whether your users should be able to chat with people outside of your organization. So that would look very simply like this. So in this example, I'm logged into my demo environment. I'm as Kara Coleman, and Kara is chatting with me with my Microsoft account. So in chat, so I'm in Teams, I'm using the chat app, I'm collaborating with someone outside my company, my institution. This is very simple, right? It could be one-on-one chat like what you see right now. It could be one-to-many, so it could be a group chat basically with people from my institution and people from outside my institution in chat. So both are available today. So that's the first context. The second one is what's already available today. And again, some of you are using this for this same call. Now, not in chat, but in Teams. And some of you are guests. You invite external people to join, not a chat, but a team. And now all that structure that Andrea mentioned before, channels, apps, meetings, and so on and so forth, become available for guests. So this is also, both of these options are available today. Teams Connect or shared channels is going to simplify external collaboration. And that's kind of the basic concept here that I'm going to cover. This is thinking about where we are with that. I'm going to share a few resources with you, but just bringing right now you can see it's in what we call private preview, and translating that, it means basically there's a specific group of customers, and that includes schools and universities and companies. So it's not just education. We have customers testing this for a few months, and we're about to get to the next stage, which is what we call public preview. And public preview means anyone can test it out. So you can do a few things and you'll be able to see this on your site. And the good thing is you don't have to bring this to everyone. You can basically pick your own group, a small group here and there in your institution, and make sure it's working the way you want. So that's the concept for shared channels. I'm going to, I think this might be a good slide as well. Now, external collaboration, let's focus on channels and teams specifically. We already have channels. We've had channels for ever actually in Teams, and that's what we now call standard channels. So you're creating a team, you have the general channel, you can add more channels. I think about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, pandemic time, it's hard for all of us, right? Private channels have been released, and it's been available for a while. So the idea is within that same group of people, I want a subset, a cohort, a smaller group to be able to work on something. So that's what a private channel does. And the shared channel comes in to simplify that external collaboration I mentioned before. So the idea now is, hey, I don't need, and this is the first topic's probably the main one. No more tenant switching when we're using Teams Connect shared channels. So I don't need to be a guest. I don't need to be invited as a guest. Basically, a shared channel between Microsoft and another institution in your school, your university, will show up in both sites, and we'll be able to collaborate there. And we're going to talk about what that means. But I think the results are here. So we expect that to minimize oversharing. So, hey, we have the meeting chat, we have the meeting invite on email. We're going to go back to the channel later and post something. So the idea is to simplify where things are and make it easier, faster for discovery and sharing. The thing about team proliferation is it's critical as well. I see a hand up. I'll be back to you in a second. Instead of creating multiple teams because you're not sure exactly who should have access to what, the idea is, hey, let's just connect these separate teams. So let's stop creating new teams and just connect them through shared channels. So you're going to see this in a minute. The next one is really critical, especially for admins and team owners, actually. I don't need to worry so much about managing membership of the shared channel. Depending on how you use that, you're going to see that in a minute. And you're going to see numbers around scalability as well. And let me just pause here. I see a hand went up and now it's no longer there. Someone wants to say something. We can pause here now for a second. Okay, I'll keep going. Please raise your hand. But at the same time, I'm going to show you a few things. So I think this is the concept. Now, I'm going to move to Teams, and you're going to see this working. But again, you need to keep in mind that because we're rolling out the public preview, I won't be able to demo everything. So I'm going to show you what I can, and I'm going to talk about what I can't. So bear with me. So I'm switching now to Teams. So this is my Teams client in Microsoft. And basically, I have this team I created here for demo purposes, and I created this global, the channel is called global, and it's a shared channel. So similar to what we have with private channels, where you have the lock symbol right next to it to indicate it's a private channel, you're going to see this symbol here to indicate it's a shared channel. So visually, people will be able to see that. And let's just start from the beginning. Basically, I go to the team. I'm a team owner here. I can add channel. And basically, this is what changes. So today, if you do that right now, you're going to be able to see standard and private. When this becomes available in public preview and you turn it on, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute, you're going to start seeing this option. Shared channel, people you choose from your org or other orgs have access. So that's what it is. This is what you do, and everything else should be similar. You create the shared channel, and the first thing you want to do is, well, you want to share. So basically, how this would work, let's take a look. You can share with individuals. So if I do this, first thing I want to point out, name of someone in my org. So with individuals means within my org, different, sometimes someone who's not a member of this team, but I want to give access to what's happening in this shared channel. So it's almost like inviting that person just for this channel. So this is where I would use inviting people. Let's go back. Let's see the other options. We have shared with a team. So now it's a little bit different. Still in my org, but now instead of thinking about Andrea and Garrett and Heather individually, I can go to, we have an internal community here we call EDU Fans with 1,500 people in that community. I can invite the team. And if I do that, basically it means the global shared channel you see here will show up in that team for everyone. So that's how we minimize managing membership moving forward if in that kind of scenario. So that's the second approach. And the third approach is exactly the external collaboration piece that I mentioned to you. So let's go share channel. And oh, sorry guys, I mixed that up actually. This is the second one, teams I own. And the third one is what I mentioned already. Let me go back because I wanna show you as I speak to that. Shared with a team. So this is where actually I can use this basically for external collaboration. I would add people here and external teams from parent or partner organizations. So this is what it looks like from an end user perspective. Now, from a team owner, actually not team owner, shared channel owner perspective, basically, besides sharing the channel, I can manage. And this is how you're going to see what it means. I have the same options here. So you can see that I am the owner of this shared channel. I have 2 members I invited. So Andrea is here, Joaquin is here. They were not invited as part of a separate team. They were invited individually. So they got a link and basically they can access the Teams demo and they will only be able to see global channel. That's another important point. They will not see anything else on this team except unless they are a member of the team, but it's very segmented. So to keep things secure. And you can see, I have another example here. I shared this with one of my colleagues in Brazil. And instead of having this for himself, he added this channel to this team here. So what you see here, it's basically what would work if this team was outside of our tenant, outside of our organization. They have their tenant, their team, and the global channel shows up in both places. And therefore, no more tenant switching, everything happens there. So messages are there. Let's talk about what's available here. Let's go back to the channel itself. So you see messages are here, of course, they're here. It tells us this is a general channel. Meet now is here, and scheduling meetings or the scheduling meeting option is also here. So both types of meeting are here. Files are here, and this is important. Similar, it's not exactly the same, but similar to what we've done for private channels. It's backed up, the shared channel is backed up by a SharePoint site, including its document library, which means it's very segmented, right? So people in the team, unless I invited them to use and have access to the shared channel, they wouldn't. So I have control as a team owner, I can control that. But basically this creates a separate SharePoint site that allows me to manage and grant permissions as I wish based on how I want to contribute. One thing I do want to point out, let's assume in this case, I share this channel with your institution, you see this on your site, you have access to this file. So this is a Feud community file, it's a PDF, I uploaded over there. And basically now you have access to that file, but you won't be able to share this within your institution to keep things in control, right? I invited you to join this to have access to this shared channel. So you'll be able to find those files, but you won't be able to share this within your institution. So that's part of the controls we have here as well. The other thing I want to point out is, let's just go back to the traditional view, posts, files, apps. So apps are here as well. So you can see there's a bunch of different options here. There are 3 exceptions that I do want to call out because they might be in use in your institution, or you might be thinking about a shared channel for a specific scenario when it becomes available on your side, but they're not available. Those apps are not available in shared channels yet. So number 1, Planner. Number 2, Forms. And number 3, Stream. And this is something that it's coming, but the way we're working and the architecture behind that, it basically is not available yet. I think there's an expectation that it will become available when shared channel goes GA, general availability. So not for public preview. So if you're expecting to try this out, as soon as it becomes available on your side, you should know that those 3 types of apps are not going to be available there. So this is what happens on the end user side. I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm going to show you what happens quickly on the admin side. So actually, a couple of things. First, pretty much everything I'm sharing, not necessarily everything, but a lot of what I'm sharing has been communicated through the message center. So if you have access to the message center on your side, this is the post. So let me just grab this number here. Message center post. I'll go back to the chat in a second, guys. Give me just a second. I just want to finish this thought here. And then you're going to see a couple of things. Part of the description I shared is here. The timeline, this is important. So first of all, public preview. So this means not everyone who have access on your site, you have control. I'll show you how to do that. But the timeline is here. So we started, we not on your side yet, but we will start to roll out this for public preview late March, so in the next 3 weeks or so, and we expect to finish that rollout in early April. I'm going to finish this thought, and I promise I'm going to get to the chat right after that. So the way you're going to have access to this is through public preview. So I'm sorry if this is repetitive for you guys. I'm going to show you just in case. So I switched now to the Teams Admin Center. If you have access, you should be familiar with that. Under Teams, I have Teams policies, so more broader policies here. I'm going to click on any policy here. So one thing you're going to start seeing is basically you see at this Teams policy where you have already the ability to define whether users can create private channels or not. You're going to see a few options around shared channels showing up here. And now going back to my previous point, give me a second. Team settings, right here, Teams update policies. This is how you actually start using public preview. If you're not doing that, you can do this today. It's available. And basically the idea is very simple. You just decide how you want preview features to become available in your tenant. So you can disable, enable, or just follow the Office preview timeline. Typically what happens here, best practice is, as I have here, this is enable, or sorry, this is going to be disable for, this is a best practice. There you go. Global policy, not enable. So this is what's going to apply to all of your users. Unless you're comfortable with that, that's also fine. But what we typically see is institutions trying to test it out first. And if that's your situation, it's going to be disabled on not enable on the global policy. But then you would have something like this. I didn't say that. I created a beta tester update policy, and this is now enabled. And now I'm going to assign this policy only to my team or whatever teams is actually testing this new functionalities. One thing to point out, just in case it's not clear, everything I'm showing right now, public preview and update policies, does not apply only to shared channels. It applies to everything that we release in public preview. So just to be clear, shared channels is part of that. But if you do this, whoever gets this policy assigned will see other features that are also in public preview. Just be aware. All right, let me pause here. I'm going to the chat, and then I only have one last thing I want to share, but I want to go to the chat here. So give me a second. Okay, so I think, yeah, I see some comments there. Sorry, guys. And by the way, in the meantime, Garrett, Heather, Andrea, I know you're monitoring the chat. So if you saw something you want me to prioritize, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going through the chat and make sure we're not leaving any question behind. Okay.
think-
Yeah, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Andrea.
I was just gonna say, Don asked if you can mention a team name in a shared channel or mention, and then I have the question, can you mention the channel or others?
Oh, good question. I haven't tested this and I haven't found this in any documentation. I don't believe that's the case. Let's test it, Don. So that's very easy. But let's see what happens. Actually, it should, right? Oh, no. I see. Basically, this is interesting. When I do that, it's not, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm learning with you because I haven't tested this before, but you see, the name of this team is Teams Demo. Because this is a shared channel, when I type team, it doesn't bring up that team name. It brings the name of the team this has been shared with. So this is something I didn't know. And as soon as I'm assuming as soon as we add or we shared this channel with other teams will show up here. To be honest, I have to say I would expect at least the same team to show up here. So I'm a bit surprised that didn't happen. I'm gonna double check that.
What if
All
you
right, so
mention global, which is the channel name?
yeah, no, the channel name, I think that part is good. But I
Okay.
was my expectation is the team should bring up the same way it brought up the associated team I showed you before. I was expecting to see Teams Demo in this list, so I'll check why that's the case, if this is by design or not. So I'll follow up on that one. And I see there's a hand up here. Deb, is that you? Yes, please.
That
go ahead.
is me. Thank you. So I have a team that I've created completely for external collaboration with I'm part of the New York State SUNY system, so there are 64 campuses, and I've created a team that is collaborating across all 64 campuses. We've got about 900 members. This is pre-connect, and one of the challenges that the team has when we have our team meetings is that they have to switch tenants.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a way for me to maybe transition this whole team into something that would make it so that they don't have to switch tenants when they want to participate in other things?
Not with the existing team or the existing structure you have. And the reason for that is the back end supporting solution, both for files and messages. So there's no way, for instance, to pick an existing team and an existing channel and say, hey, this is a standard channel. I want to convert that into a shared channel because of the back end. So basically in that scenario, my recommendation would be to evaluate. I don't know exactly how you're structuring the team. If let's say if it's a team, first of all, too many members, so you should evaluate the impact of changing something like that. But then if you have a team with not so many channels that you feel like you can gradually transition the team into a new approach and start adding a shared channel at a time and see the reaction, oh, this is working. But then communication becomes key, right? Because people need to know, hey, moving forward, everything around this topic will happen in this new channel we created here. By the way, guys, if you're accessing this channel, you won't have to switch tenants anymore. So that might be the motivation for people to actually move towards that place. But there's no easy switch process. It's going to be case by case. And I'm saying this that because I'm going through the same discussion right now. I mentioned a couple of communities before, and we're evaluating, hey, as soon as internally we're doing that already, but still evaluating for this community, would it make sense to have a shared channel? And if so, communication becomes important to make sure it's clear for everybody that moving forward, guys, we're going to I'm going to say archive, but that's not exactly what happens. But you could stop, you could prevent people from posting an existing standard channel and having the last message there guiding them. Hey, let's keep this conversation in the new shared channel. But it's more like an adoption and change management discussion. From a technical perspective, there won't be a way to easily convert to a shared channel. Sorry, Deb, that was a long answer, but I wanted to provide some context.
No, that's awesome. And this is super exciting because I think it's nice to be able to take, work that we do in groups, and then if we have external people that we only want to share this certain conversation and then these certain files and stuff like that with, the shared channel really is going to give us an opportunity to do that, you know, in existing teams instead of creating new teams for that external collaboration, which is what we've been doing.
Yeah, I think that's the expectation, and I like the question because internally I am in charge to try to merge four very large teams, and we're trying to figure out what is the right way to do that. First of all, there's no way to do this. There's multiple ways to do this, and we're trying to minimize the impact and make sure we're not bringing disruption and we're improving things, right? So we have, for instance, in this example, we have 4 teams, and all 4 teams, they need to be able to see, I'm just going to share the name we're using internally, customer connections. So we want people to know, for instance, this is actually a good example. So you guys asked about auto expiration today, right? If we were in that situation already, I would go to the customer connections shared channel. I would post in a single place. It would show up whatever we wanted to show up for all the right audiences to see that, to react to that. Right now, because we don't have that yet, I need to go probably to 2 different places to share the feedback, and I'm going to do that. But it's an ongoing process, and I think I would advise spend the time, think through this, and evaluate when it does and when it doesn't make sense to consider shared channel, because it's going to introduce change, and I think most of us here, we know what happens when we do that. Guys, I see some comments in the chat. I'm going to go back, but I want to leave you with something very important. And Heather, I'm checking the time as well. I'm going to share a link in the chat, and I'm going to explain what it is, because everything I shared here and more is available for you on the link in the chat. So that is right. That link will take you here. So basically, when we announced this at Ignite, sorry, guys, I have too many things open. I switched, I promise. I'm just waiting for the Alt tab to work. It's not going to work. Okay, let me do this manually, because I guess I remember. There you go. This is what I was trying to do. So the link I shared with you will take you here. So these are the 2 product owners in teams who designed and developed shared channels. So basically, it's a very short session. It's not showing here. It's about 20 minutes. The slides are here. The 2 slides I shared with you, you can download, and more, everything showing how do we make it work. I briefly talked about SharePoint. I didn't say anything about Azure AD, B2B. That's how we make this happen. So there's a lot more that I didn't cover today. But please take the time, 20-minute video. You can download the slides here. You're going to get more details about how this is going to work. And trust me, there's a bunch of different scenarios, how you share and who has access to what, membership and expiration. And when the member, the team owner, channel owner leaves the organization, there's a bunch of new, or sorry, not new, but specific scenarios that hopefully will help to address some of those questions. So with that, I'm going to stop presenting and checking the time. Oh, 40 seconds to spare. Heather, Garrett, Andrea, do we have open questions in the chat that I missed?
I think the last one just says, would the Power BI app work as well?
Let's see. I can test this right now. I don't see Power BI right now. So I would take that no for now, and I'll follow up to see if this is in the backlog. I think there's an expectation that more apps will become available. Actually, this is a good point. The idea to announce the preview very early was to make sure developers were able to adjust their apps into the shared channel structure, and that includes what we call second party. So Forms and Planner and Stream and Power BI, it's another example. So it's not available in the public preview right now, but I'll double check if this is in the backlog.
Perfect. Well, I am so thankful that you were here. I'm going to stop the recording and transfer